Nigel Farage, great to see you. Last night in London, you were at a Save Chagos boat party. It looked very boozy indeed. Less than 24 hours later, you're now at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. I suspect it will be another boozy occasion as well. The big question is, Nigel, when will Chagos be saved? Will it be saved? Can you tell us?
The Chagos boat party in the Thames wasn't boozy, but it was jolly. And there was a lot of Creole music, a lot of the Chagosian community dancing, because they're beginning to think that maybe we can stop this dreadful, dreadful surrender, and that maybe they have a future back in their homeland. In the end, this does come down to the Americans. There is a 1966 treaty between us and America. For that treaty to be breached and for sovereignty to be surrendered to Mauritius, who, by the way, have never had any claim over the Chagos Islands whatsoever, for that to happen does need the Americans to agree. Now, the problem has been that Jonathan Powell, a man who's been around, of course, since Blair's time, has been going around for the last year and a bit in America, telling them, we have to do this. International law says we must give the islands away, therefore the leaseback deal is the least worst option. That just is not true. This government, our government, has been lying to the American administration. So I'm here to reinforce that point. The second point is, even though Keir Starmer initially wouldn't let the Americans use Diego Garcia, meaning their two-man crews had to fly 37-hour round trip from Missouri. No wonder Trump was angry the other day. But Mauritius are now saying that they don't believe Diego Garcia should have been used at all. They're now calling for a ceasefire. And they, of course, are increasingly controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. So those two big points I want to emphasize on this trip over here. And I want the Americans to say, just no, we are not doing this. This is bad for global security.
You mentioned last night, Nigel, that you think President Trump almost understands the full context of the deal. And we kind of had a suggestion that he wasn't fully across the details some months ago when he thought that Britain needed the money from the deal. He thought we were being paid for it. I mean, God forbid, knowing now he thinks that, you know, we are paying for the privilege of giving away our own sovereignty. Do you think President Trump now is fully briefed as to just how pathetic this surrender is in terms of British sovereignty and indeed national security for both Britain and the United States?
Well, yes, and the strategic importance of Diego Garcia. That will be uppermost in Donald Trump's mind right now after the week we've had. And you know, who knows? Maybe this goes on for several weeks more. Maybe Diego Garcia gets used a lot more. And don't forget, it's not just somewhere planes take off from. It's a massive refueling station, refit station for the US Navy. So yeah, I think he's on top of it. And look, you know, if Donald Trump wasn't across all the detail, well, that's hardly surprising. He's been trying to negotiate a peace between Ukraine and Russia, working hard in the Middle East, Venezuela, now Iran, and who knows what will happen with Cuba next. So he's had rather a lot on his plate. But no, I do believe the Americans get it. They just need to know, don't listen to the lies of the Foreign Office and British officials, and use the veto that you've got under that treaty from 1966. And then we will maintain sovereignty over the area. The Diego Garcia base will be safe. And into the bargain, thousands of Chagosians can go back to their homeland.
Yeah, and they're very, very good people, the Chagosians. Not far from me in West Sussex, lots of them based in Crawley, of course, and it will be a great day when they can finally return home. Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private internet access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private internet access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today. Nigel, can I ask you please, this whole Chagos deal, for me, I describe it as stinking like kippers at breakfast. You've got Philippe Sands KC, who was Keir Starmer's Bezzy international lawyer mate representing Mauritius for many years. He's due, according to reports, to get a massive slice of commission from Mauritius if and when this deal goes through. Then you have the very bizarre story, whether it's linked or not, I don't know, but the former Mauritian Prime Minister who was arrested and then charged with briefcases full of cash and bizarrely blank British visas. I don't know what's going on there, but none of this seems to make sense. Even just the surrender itself to, as you said, Mauritius, who have never had the islands in the first place. What do you think intuitively is going on here? Is any of that connected?
Well, one thing for certain is that you know, the Prime Minister's mates are making a lot of money out of this. You know, and Philippe Sands, who stands, if you believe reports, to make millions out of this deal, he actually went on to British sovereign territory and planted a Mauritian flag. I mean, in the old days, we'd have called that treachery and locked him up. You've also got, and I'm going to mention him again, Jonathan Powell, before he returned to government, had his own lobbying company. He was advising the Mauritian government and at the same time doing a considerable amount of work in China. So the whole thing stinks at every level. And the sooner we can kill this deal, the better.
Yeah, I understand Jonathan Powell has been in DC in recent months, as you said, the past couple of years, perhaps with people from the Foreign Office, the embassy, even some people from the CIA as well, lobbying Trump, trying to win his ear. So if you want to talk about the so-called deep state, I mean, there it is in play there. Nigel, before I let you go and get back to Mar-a-Lago, can we just talk briefly, please, about President Trump and his relationship with Keir Starmer and the Labour government? From my experience here since last year in DC, the President has always been very careful and delicate not to identify Keir Starmer or European leaders by name when critiquing, say, the UK, who he says has many problems, or Europe, which is going to hell. He's never pinpointed anybody by name until now when it comes to Starmer, saying, well, he's no Churchill, is he? He refused to deny that he called him an idiot a couple of days ago. What's your take on the breakdown of that relationship?
Well, remember, the same thing happened with Theresa May. Theresa May went to the White House. Donald Trump was very kind, very nice about her. He went to Chequers, once again said nice things about her. And of course, remember, this is a very pro-British American president. We should count our lucky stars, frankly, on that score. But in the end, of course, with Mrs. May, that relationship broke down. He saw her failure to deliver Brexit as really meaning she wasn't up to the job. And indeed, when she stopped being Prime Minister, she went and gave a speech for a big Wall Street firm, and she was paid six-figure money for it, and Trump said, I'd pay good money not to hear her speak. So, you know, when relationships with Trump break down, they break down. He has in his career forgiven people who've turned against him. He doesn't do it quickly, and I see very little prospect of the relationship between Starmer and Trump improving. I mean, even now, the British Prime Minister is calling for a negotiated settlement with the Iranians, provided they promise to give up nuclear weapons. Well, we did all this back in 2015 with the JCPOA deal. So the British Prime Minister is living at least 10 years out of date on everything. No, this relationship with Trump and Starmer is over.
Yeah, and again, President Trump posting on Truth Social this morning, although not naming Keir Starmer, he was saying absolutely no deal, unconditional surrender or nothing, which almost seemed like a direct response to Starmer's urges. Nigel, lastly, I and others have been getting some stick and criticism in recent days by not applauding President Trump's sort of attacks and comments on Keir Starmer, but just saying, well, you know, maybe Keir Starmer deserves it. Some people, particularly of the left, are saying, well, that is treacherous behaviour, siding with a foreign leader who is criticising our Prime Minister. They think by default that we should stick and always support our government when a foreign power comes for them. Is that the case? Is that true?
Well, this applies to Ed Davey and those to the left of Ed Davey. They're saying that we're being disloyal to our country in the things that we're saying. These are the same people who gave away our sovereignty to Brussels, refused to accept the result of the referendum, the biggest democratic exercise in Britain, and who, frankly, are almost embarrassed to say they're British and certainly ashamed of our British history. I don't think, Ben, people like you or me should worry too much about their comments.
Yeah, good stuff. Nigel, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Have fun at dinner tonight. And hopefully the next time I speak to you, it will be on confirmation that Chagos has been saved. Thank you, Nigel Farage.
Thank you.
So there we go. My chat with